my name is Reina, and this is Chow and Tell. In the course of my work, I get to meet a host of extraordinary people working in all kinds of ways with food. Some of them cook, some of them serve it, some of them share it, and some of them teach other people about it. I do it in some way, and today my guests, and I have a host of them, do it in a different way, and I'm very, very, very pleased to welcome today to the studio my guests from Food Corps. Please welcome Alex and Jane and Greg. Welcome to the studio. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And just to backtrack, I met Alex. This is Alex. Hi. And Jane and Greg. And just to backtrack, we met actually at a food-related event, which was a planning event for an event called Food Day that happens in October, sometime in October. It's a national event, and Alex was there, I was there, and a few other people were there for the local chapter, the local meeting for that. And I just remember hearing about the work that he was involved in, and I was so interested about it. I said, "You've got to come be on Chow and Tell." So I will defer to you to tell us a little more about Food Corps.
Well, Food Corps is a national team of leaders who aim to connect kids to healthy food. And the way it works is that it's a national independent nonprofit that's part of the AmeriCorps Service Network. And this year we're in 15 states. We're excited to expand to 17 next year. And the structure of it works that we place service members with service sites that are all over the country, understanding that Food Corps knows a lot about food. Its founders know a lot about food, but they don't know what's going on the ground and the realities of each different community. So we place service members with nonprofits and schools that focus on K-8 education in particular to help improve school food environments through school gardens, better school lunches, and nutrition education.
That's so awesome. I was so excited to hear this because really I think better eating starts from the ground up, literally in the ground and also from a young age. And you're doing both of those things, all of you. And you are all on the ground with this. You're right there on site, working directly with the kids and with the schools or the other institutions that you're involved with, right?
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about. So Alex is a Food Corps fellow, and then his service members here, Jane and Greg, would you tell me a little bit about what you do? Like, what does your day look like?
My day varies a lot throughout the year. Throughout the school year, from September to June, I was working with classes in the garden. So I was encouraging teachers to use the garden as a teaching tool, an instructional teaching tool. I was helping them lead activities that were curriculum connecting activities in the garden. And then in the after school time, I was leading cooking clubs, mostly with middle school age students. And we would cook things from guacamole to pesto to something more ethnic like tabbouleh or a Moroccan tagine.
Wow.
As well.
And what kind of response do you get from the kids? Like, are they familiar with these things, or are they excited about it, or is it just kind of like weird vegetable stuff? Or the range in between? Maybe you can speak to that from your experience.
Well, the one exception we made to meatless meals was Jamaican beef patties.
Okay.
That was as per the student's suggestion.
Okay.
But we did make one with lentils, and we made one with beef.
So you primarily do a lot of mostly meatless?
Yeah, mostly vegetarian.
Okay. That's cool. And how do they respond? Like, how do the kids respond to, cooking? Like, do they have a facility in the school where they do this, or is it less with fire and flame and more kind of getting their hands into, like guacamole, for example, doesn't require heat, but some chopping perhaps, or some crushing of the garlic if you're using it?
Right, yeah. It varies actually from school to school. Some schools have kitchens that we're able to use. Greg and I did a great after-school program every Monday at the Gately Youth Center in Cambridge, where we had a full kitchen to use, which was awesome.
Wow. And how many kids are you working with?
That was between, I would say, 10 and 15 every week, about.
So you are rotating through different places? So every day you're at a different school, or how does it
Mhm.
work?
Yeah.
So at City Sprouts, the food court service member and the garden coordinator are paired. Garden coordinator is a City Sprouts staff member, paired and work at 4 different schools in Cambridge.
Oh, wow.
So, and 1 or 2 middle schools are included in that. So 4 elementary, 1 or 2 middle schools. So just always a half day at one school. So it's a lot of biking, which is great.
It's good that it's nice weather right now.
Yeah.
Very hot.
We did the winter. It was.
Oh, you did the winter too?
Yeah.
So this is throughout the year.
Mhm.
You're a service member for
from
the whole school year, as you said.
starting in September and ending on August 1st.
No rest for the good.
And
Right.
Greg and Jane even did some really cool experiments in season extension where they built
Oh.
hoop houses, which are plastic covered PVC pipes in this case that sort of create like a mini greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Greg in particular was really successful.
Well, one thing that's cool about it is that we planted cilantro back in August or September,
Yeah.
and we're only now harvesting the coriander from the seeds. It's flowered and it's gone to seed. So this cilantro plant has lived for almost a year now.
Wow.
Because of the
Through Massachusetts, which
Yeah.
is just kind of strange for a tropical herb plant
Yeah.
to do. So that's pretty good garden magic, I would say.
Mhm.
Actually, I wanted to back up for a second, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about City Sprouts and what the relation is between Food Corps and City Sprouts, because maybe people don't know about
Yeah.
that organization either.
So City Sprouts is one of our food corps service sites in Massachusetts, and they were one of our founding service sites. So they're a really valuable partner for us in Massachusetts. But
Uh-huh.
Food Corps itself is only in its 3rd program year, but City Sprouts is in its 13th.
Something like
Something
that.
Like
Something
they're
like that.
long.
So is that kind of like the umbrella program under which Food Corps works, or
So City Sprouts existed before Food Corps, and
Okay.
when Food Corps started, and we were looking for partners who were like doing great things,
Mhm.
City Sprouts was an easy choice because they were in schools already.
Oh, okay.
They have a school garden at every public elementary and middle school in Cambridge,
Oh, wow.
and so every student gets the opportunity to grow food and see food through the whole process from seed to.
And that must be
vegetable.
such an incredible experience, because I know, I mean, I didn't grow up here, but I remember going to the markets with my grandfather when I was a kid, and we saw the trucks coming in early morning from the farms directly, and there was mud on the carrots, and there was like these were things that had just been pulled out, and there wasn't really the concept of a farmer's market, but basically those were coming directly from the farms. And then I moved here many years later, and there's this revival now of farmers markets and growing things, closer to home, eating things closer to the ground, so skipping a lot of the process stages in between. And it sounds like a lot of the work you're doing with the kids bringing that sensibility back, and showing them that carrots don't just come cleaned and cut in exactly the same shapes in little plastic bags with ziplocs on top, but they have these glorious leaves on top, and they have mud and bugs on them, and I know you were talking about bugs earlier.
Yeah.
And that kids get to see that.
And they get to learn that sometimes carrots are purple.
Or rainbow color.
Or rainbow
Or
color.
white.
That must be such a fulfilling experience to see the astonishment on a child's face, and to see their wonder, to reconnect with that sense of wonder of these are things that are growing. And are they part of the planting and growing process as well?
Yeah.
And then harvesting, and then cooking, and then eating it?
Yeah.
So that's such an amazing full circle to be a part of that, rather than just entering at the very end bit of the circle, consuming it, and then throwing the bits away and not knowing where they end up.
Right, and it's really striking to see the ownership that a lot of kids take
wow.
over
Yeah.
when they know that they've planted that seed, or they know that they've pulled it out of the ground or prepared it in front of themselves.
It's right
so
there. Yeah.
it's kind of cool to see that
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of students who are kind of hesitant or kind of nervous about the dirt or the bugs or what it would taste like, and they're like, I've never seen this before. But when you give them a role in it and give them some responsibilities, it changes the game entirely.
That must be so empowering also, and also maybe inspiring for the kid to eat what they've grown. Like I would guess they would be more likely to eat, I don't know, a tomato or a radish or a beetroot, which many times kids otherwise are very fussy about. They're like, no, I don't want that. I want, the chicken fingers or something. I don't know, like the snacky food.
Right.
But I would assume that through this process, I would anyways if I was a kid, because that's how I grew up, and you're really involved with the process.
Yeah.
To take ownership, and it's really great that you're giving that empowerment back
Yeah.
to the kids. And what are some of the youngest kids that you've worked with?
Preschool,
Yeah, Greg.
So how old is that?
Kids.
3 to 5.
Oh yeah.
So we especially worked a lot with the children's houses at the Tobin Montessori School by Fresh Pond,
Okay.
and they loved it. And now they have their own garden beds now, and they're learning. They're having it right outdoors because it's a little bit of a walk when you're this tall to go from your classroom to this garden. But they've really enjoyed it.
So what do the 3-year-olds do?
Use their senses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use their senses, and they plant seeds. I mean, everyone can plant a seed, and they enjoy that. And they pick different things that we say they can pick. They can't just pick on their own.
Yeah.
And digging too.
I would imagine they would actually enjoy that very much. It's one of those things that many times parents are really strict about them not doing, like don't get dirty and don't get your hands in the mud and it's bad. And maybe not these parents, but I know some parents who are sort of extra paranoid about dirt and mud and kids in the mud, and it actually sounds really fun to get them like, no, this is good, like go in both hands,
Yeah, they
both
love
feet.
it too.
They love it.
Yeah.
And that's actually beyond the food connection, just being able to facilitate these young people using an outdoor space, just getting outside and using their bodies and doing something, just moving and learning by doing is, I think, one of the things that I've enjoyed most about working with City Sprouts.
And actually, before we just before we started the show, we were talking about how so many people nowadays are stuck to some device or their phone or their iPad. There's a kid on our street. Yeah. There's a kid on our street who's just, his mom sends him outside. He goes outside with his iPad. He sits on the sidewalk, and he's just on his iPad all day long. I should send him to you guys.
At least he's outside.
At least he's outside. This is true. But I mean, just the shift of doing things more with the hands, with the body. They're young, and I would imagine they're actually more likely to be interested in this now, and then if that's continued,
Right.
they could have a very different path, if not for you guys and the kind of work you're doing, which is really cool.
And I think even for the students that don't get out to the garden as frequently, even when I think back to my elementary school days, the things I remember, like the field trips and the hands-on experiments and the
Always.
projects.
Yeah.
And that's what taking these students out into the garden is. And then you can talk about food, but you can also talk about fractions or adjectives or Spanish vocabulary words or all sorts of
I love
things.
it. That's great. So you can use it as a tool and an environment to talk about not just food but other subjects as well. How many carrots? 3. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Do you remember from Sesame Street? I remember growing up with that. There was a count who would do that. And I would love to know how each of you got involved with this. Do you have a background with food or this is a really cool young organization. It's only 3 years old, Food Corps. And I don't know if it's a bit modeled after the Peace Corps, for example. Is that the core bit of it? Is it similar? You're on a mission to go out and spread education about food in this case.
Yeah, some people have made that connection. It was originally there were 3 founders. Kurt Ellis, who is the director of King Corn, which is a film some people may have seen. Deb Eschmeyer, who's a farmer herself and has worked in politics, and then Cecily Upton, who has worked with Slow Food USA and a whole bunch of other organizations. And they came together and originally were thinking we should do something to inspire a new generation of farmers. And it was going to be Farm Corps.
Okay.
But that was...
Still focus on young people.
Still focus on people who were idealistic and fresh and looking to make change. And that shifted as they were processing it into something that was bigger. creating a field of leaders in the food movement that could be farmers or educators or cooks or politicians or anything in between.
Cool. And how did you get involved with Food Corps?
I got involved. I was really interested in sustainable food systems. I got really into that in college in particular, and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area where you can't step out the door without being bombarded with organic and local and Michael Pollan and all that stuff. So I went to college, started to look at the environmental impacts of that more, saw that that was something that drew me in, and then I started looking at the justice components that come with our food production, which is just so many different layers from the way we grow it, to the labor practices, to the health consequences, to all sorts of things.
It's a very convoluted machine.
It is. It's very, very complex. So I got interested in that, and I had a friend who did the first year of Food Corps ahead of me, and she was like, Alex, you would really enjoy this.
Yeah.
So
nice.
And so I got in, and then I served my first service year term with City Sprouts.
Okay.
So I also have a extended connection to City Sprouts.
Nice. And what about you?
I started learning about food issues in college as well, and I remember being a little bit blown away by all the stuff that I didn't know until I was 21. And it was a lot about industrial agriculture, and I call it food geography because that's how I studied it in college.
Oh, nice. Did they have a course called food geography?
I think it was a critical geography.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to that school. I would have taken those classes.
Yeah, definitely one of the best classes I took.
Yeah.
So I found myself very interested in it, thought it was very important. And I knew that I wanted to work with that material a little bit more and possibly go on to study it, do things like that. But I wanted some on-the-ground experience to see what was happening locally and what some different organizations were doing and what it looked like.
Great.
And Food Corps was sort of a perfect fit because I would be placed with a nonprofit organization. I could be most likely working with kids using my hands, and I thought it'd be a great experience to learn a little bit more about it and what was going on.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jane. And Greg.
All right. Well, so I've been an educator. I think I could say since like high school, and I guess I kind of had reached a point where I wanted to work with young people in a way that felt real to myself and to them. Coming out of college feeling like I'm not sure what I actually know how to do, and kind of taking that energy and be like, so how can we grow food, and how can we learn how to do this together, and how can we be outside, and how can we build hoop houses, and how can we and also just coming with that idea of like, let's learn how to do things with our hands, whether it's cooking or growing.
That's awesome. I mean, I think this kind of motivation, it's infectious. I mean, it cannot but, carry through to everyone that you meet. And that energy and passion is, I think, what's going to put back into the kids' system, and grow future leaders in all areas of food, like you were saying. And I guess that's the hope as well for Food Corps. Do you have older kids as well in your programs?
Yeah.
We have, I've worked with kindergarten through 8th grade is the oldest.
Okay.
And Greg and I are both working with a summer internship program right now with 11 to 14-year-olds.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it really runs the gamut. I mean, it's never too late, it's never too early.
And we even have other service sites who are in the high school age range as well.
Oh, yeah.
Doing, which is fun because you can delve into more complex and thoughtful processes around the idea too.
Oh, and this is Chow and Tell. We have to show something. We have to eat. So I wanted to show, why don't we share this lovely booklet of recipes they have put together with City Sprouts, is it? So City Sprouts and Food Corps have, you can tell us a little bit about this.
So this is City Sprouts summer recipe book, and they've been putting these out every year since they've been doing the summer youth program. And we go through this recipe book and we cook every single one of them, more or less, with the students every day for lunch. So they cook their own lunch, and they harvest their own lunch, and then we actually in our side we have a kitchen manager, so they even manage how to make it happen in the first place. And right here that Jane brought us, we have some.
It's a root slaw.
Wow, let's see if we can show them this a little closely. Yeah, tell us about what is in this.
It's shredded beets and shredded carrots, and then there's a dressing on it as well. The dressing has olive oil, lemon juice, garlic, salt and pepper, maybe some other herbs. And we actually made this with, the interns made this yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So we don't have a ton left because they actually liked it. Really
That's great. I mean, to get kids to be eating, and this is raw, it's a raw slaw.
It's raw, yeah.
It's a raw beet and raw carrot. Alex
really
is very kindly serving us up so we can taste it.
About the beets as well.
Oh yeah? Like getting their hands all red.
Their hands were completely covered in pink beet juice, but they loved it.
That's beautiful.
Super excited.
Yeah, we can put this aside, it's fine.
And,
Thank you, let's try this.
All right.
Lovely. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna take the fork from the bowl, actually.
Oh yeah, sure. Otherwise I'll do that.
Thank you.
Let's taste this. This is so wonderful. I'm so glad you guys could come on the show and share all this amazing work you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
And
thank you.
yeah, not that you don't feel shy about speaking while chewing, because we do it all the time. Is there a website that people can go to check out more of the work that you're doing?
Yeah.
Well, for starters, there's Food Corps Massachusetts Facebook page, as well as the Food Corps national level Facebook page.
So they just search for Food Corps.
Yep.
And show your shirt again so you can see the
Food
spelling.
Corps.
Food Corps.
Spelled with the S at the end.
Awesome.
And so there's those Facebook pages, but as well, City Sprouts has a pretty active Facebook page to check out. Both organizations post a lot of photos,
We
news
like
updates,
photos.
and if people are ever interested in being involved, City Sprouts is always looking for volunteers to help out.
Oh,
with
that's great.
various
So if this
opportunities.
program resonated with any of you who are watching out there, please go check out both City Sprouts and Food Corps. Plenty of service opportunities, volunteer stuff also, and lots of photos and information. That would be really awesome. And this is yummy.
Good.
It's so
Glad you
fresh
like it.
and bright. It's a summery, lovely salad.
I like the crunch.
The crunch is delicious and they're sweet. And the garlic is nice and flavorful.
And it's fun with these raw recipes with kids because they get to use a ton of like knife skills and like grating and shaving and peeling, and there's nothing more awesome to see the power that is in a child when you give them a knife or like a masher or something. And, you know, like if you set the boundaries right, like they don't want to mess that up.
Take it all out on the potato or on the beetroot.
It's like
Yeah,
they
we
know that if
want
they
to
like
keep it vegetarian.
Yeah. No fingers. So do you use finger guards or anything for the graters, or you have some guidelines of how
Yeah.
you know how much they should leave? Of yeah, I should send my husband to you. He shaved off the edge of his thumb once on a block of cheese, and
I found that working with teachers, sometimes they're the hardest influence of knife skills and tasting new things.
Yeah.
Now the kids are really excited and the teacher's like, come on, let's
Man,
get
we
excited.
grow up too fast as adults, I think, and I love that curiosity of children and like the enthusiasm and just that absolute fearlessness, even to just go in and do it. I wish that we would still have that, and I think you guys still have that, and just keep that, please, because we all need it. Just that sense of adventure, and you're bringing that into food, which is just absolutely amazing. This is delicious. Like, can people get this booklet somehow, or?
You know, we haven't talked about that, but I think that would be nice. I mean,
Maybe a PDF of it online or
It
something.
could go viral. You know?
It could go viral. Right here on Chow, we're gonna make the booklet go viral. Why not? I mean, it's good recipes, and they're all seasonal, local ingredients usually, or stuff that they've grown.
Yeah, we
Many
try
of
and
the
focus
things.
it around things that they've grown.
That's
But
awesome.
you know, occasionally a lime or a lemon.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But we actually didn't have lemon yesterday, so we just picked lemon sorrel instead. That was a weed growing in the garden. So.
This has been so fabulous. You can check out this show and other recipes and episodes on my website, www.kitchen-intuition.com. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks
Thank
for having us.
Bye.